Bijan Robinson getting fed. More confirmation from OC Zach Robinson, this marvel I've been talking about for months and months and months, when they were going to potentially interview this guy. Talk to this guy, Zach Robinson. Comes over from the Rams, dealing with Kyron and creating that offense over in LAR, making Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp who they are. This is the guy coming over to turn London into a monster, Kyle Pitts into a monster, Bijan Robinson into a monster, and Zach Robinson saying we're going to continue to tailor and tweak things to find creative ways to get Bijan Robinson the mother freaking football. And then on top of that, Kyle Pitts playing wide receiver. Kyle Pitts lining up at wide receiver. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And more Aaron Rodgers news. This breaking news edition, we're live whenever news breaks like nobody else in the business. We do it. We do it this way. This is the way it's meant to be done. When news breaks, we go live. This is that show, pal. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
This marvel of a man named Zach Robinson, who's basically the Slowick of the Falcons. Slowick is the OC over in Houston. He's basically the Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's in Detroit. This is the formula now. And this is the formula that your boy told you was the winning formula before any of these coaches started signing. And we had this coach board. And none of these coaches had landed anywhere yet. We said Atlanta should do exactly what Detroit's doing, what Houston's doing. Houston brought in DeMeco Ryans, and then they've got Slowick. Ben Johnson's the OC. It's like having a mini head coach on top of having a head coach, a player's coach. And Raheem Morris is a player's coach. Raheem Morris could win Coach of the Year, or at least be in the top three. And this Zach Robinson character coming over from the Rams, bringing that Puka Nacua, that Kyron Williams mentality over to Atlanta, where he's got just as much weapons, if not more. In Atlanta, it's going to be absolutely glory. This report right here, Falcons OC Zach Robinson is going to continue to tailor and tweak things and find creative ways to get Bijan Robinson the football. Something we knew was going to happen last year, and it didn't. And that's on me, and I take a lap. And I've said before, I have been the highest in the industry. I know people say, Smitty, you say that a lot about stuff, but I can guarantee you, no one's higher on Bijan. No one has been higher on Bijan than I have. And with that kind of claim comes an L. Because last year, being the highest person on Bijan known to man on planet Earth, I take an L. I took a big L last year. He still was running back 9. We lost no leagues because of it. In fact, the majority of the leagues I won championships in last year had Bijan. And yeah, he played way under the level of expectation we had. He was running back 9, but he was running back 9 in the worst of situations, in a nightmare of a situation. We're talking about him being the running back 3 at the goal line. They literally had him 3rd in the pecking order for goal line work. That is not going to happen this year. This year is the redemption year, the revenge tour year of this man known as Bijan Robinson. Bijan, London, Kyle Pitts, even Kirk Cousins, Tank Dell, AR5, Jacobs, Burrow, Kyler. This is a revenge tour board like I've never seen in my life, but it is consumed of Atlanta Falcons. It's consumed of half of the Smitty bunch that is incorporated on this board right here. This Smitty bunch is a marvelous group of both Cardinals and Atlanta Falcon players, similar families merging together to become one, with Alice in the middle, We absolutely are here for the Bijan Robinson explosion extravaganza, and it's going to be wild. Who's at my front door? Ziggy, show me the front door. What is going on here?
Okay.
What is going on here? Who's at the front door? Who's constantly knocking or ringing the doorbell? What is going on there? A mailman? That's right. Okay, so Ziggy off. Have you guys seen this in a while?
Hi, my name is Bijan Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the Bruce's mother.
Get Bijan.
Yeah, that's right. Bijan. Again, I admit last year was disappointing, but I think everything we believed that would come true last year will come true this year. This guy is a receiving monster. Bijan Robinson can catch 70 balls in 2024 in a system that wants to run the hell out of him. This is a guy, Bijan, that says he wants to run for 2,000 yards this year, and I don't think he can do that, not because he's incapable of it, but because they will ask so much of him in the receiving game that it will be more of a 1,500, 1,600 yard on the ground affair for Bijan so that he can get 500, 600 receiving. This will be a 2,000 total yard season for Bijan. He doesn't need 2,000 rushing yards. He'll get 2,000 total yards. And this will help keep him healthy to have a divide that doesn't have a heavy weight on the rushing categories. He's going to be a 1,500 yard rusher. He's going to be a 14, 15 total touchdown running back. This whole video clip we kept playing all offseason last year. All I do is score touchdowns on Bijan Robinson. It's funny that we forget how much of a touchdown machine we predicted him to be. This is a 2 touchdown per game, stretch of 4 or 5 games in a row type of player, where it's like 2 touchdowns. Maybe he has 1, maybe he has 0, 2 touchdowns. This is probably the most capable multiple touchdown, total touchdown player in the National Football League. I think Kyren Williams and Bijan Robinson are both neck and neck for the rushing title all year long. Barkley might even be in the mix. It's going to be literally Bijan, Kyren, Bijan. Is Barkley there? Bijan, Kyren. Rushing touchdowns, Kyren and Bijan will be in the mix as Barkley will for the touchdown leader on the ground. I think Bijan does separate himself from everybody else in terms of total touchdowns because this guy can pull in 4 or 5 receiving touchdowns, run for 10 plus, get you 15, 16 total touchdowns. It would not shock me if Bijan Robinson, with the shorter field, with the new kickoff rules, is capable of exceeding 15 touchdowns and being an absolute beast in fantasy football 2024. On other news relating to the Atlanta Falcons, let's move this glorious piece of news to the corner. Kyle Pitts has been what? Kyle Pitts is going to play a lot of wide receiver and tight end in 2024. This guy is going to be moved all over the field. Keep in mind that Zach Robinson, coming over from the Rams, creating Puka Nakua's role, creating Puka Nakua's volume, having Cooper Kupp do what Cooper Kupp does when he's healthy, having Kyren Williams be his lone running back to deal with. McVay says, we want one running back. Zach Robinson says, no problem. I can design plays and have the passing attack and rushing attack run through one running back. So Zach Robinson's the one coach, the one offensive coordinator in the league that's used to dealing with one RB and not having a committee, and he's the guy that comes over and gets handed Bijan. We're traumatized by the fact that Bijan didn't get all the work, and now Zach Robinson, the one running back man, comes over to become the OC of Atlanta, and I'm here for it. And Zach Robinson, who turned Puka into Puka, who helped turn Kyren into Kyren, is going to take Kyle Pitts and say to himself, okay, who do I have at wide receiver? I've got Drake London. Drake London becomes my Puka Nacua. Do I have a Cooper Kupp? I don't. Oh, I don't have a Cooper Kupp. Oh, you know what? We got Bijan and we got Kyle Pitts. Let's piecemeal that together, and that's our Cooper Kupp. Bijan is gonna absolutely catch footballs, regardless of all the. He's gonna run. We're gonna keep him. We're gonna get him creative around, all over the field, running the football. He's a running back first. That is coming out of the staff in Atlanta, that it's a very big emphasis on he's going to be a running back. I want everybody to know he's going to be a running back. But I think that is not to say he's not going to be utilized as a receiver to the tune of 400 or 500 yards or even 60 to 70 receptions. It's just meaning that, rest assured, we are going to run this guy like he hasn't been run before. Bijan is going to be taking away Bijan cards all season long.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
And Kyle Pitts trying to borrow from the Cooper Kupp role, trying to borrow from the Puka Nacua role. Kyle Pitts will be utilized by Zach Robinson as one of his best pass catchers in 2024. This might be his wide receiver too. Granted, he's going to line up at tight end a lot. I'm not saying he's moved positions entirely or anything crazy like that, but he will be moving all over the field, and he will be utilized like a wide receiver in a lot of situations. And this is going to be a cheat code in a lot of ways. Kyle Pitts is falling by default as a de facto non-top 3 tight end. He goes very late because you can't reach any higher than where he's going because of the other tight ends that are in line in the pecking order, including very solid, very amazing Kincaid and also our Trey McBride. Then you've got a guy like Laporta, a guy like Kelsey. Kyle Pitts is de facto tight end 5, 6, 7. He just can't go any higher, and that is great news because he can produce much higher than top 5 or 6 tight end numbers in 2024. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Kyle Pitts season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Bijan season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. We have maybe the number 1 running back in fantasy football, sum total. Maybe a top 3 or 4 tight end, sum total in 2024. And then we've got the Aaron Rodgers news that we must discuss real quickly. When asked about his Achilles, he said, "My Achilles feels good," and says that he's good to go walking into training camp. Is he probably capable of being able to sprint full go? Not really. It's more about tightness. My concern for both Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers is tearing the other Achilles tendon, usually a compensation injury relating to an Achilles tear. The good news is that unlike being like Cam Akers, you're a running back, which is, your boy predicted the Cam Akers situation to a mother freaking T. And while I'm concerned about an Achilles tear, there's a little bit less likely chance that the quarterback is going to re-tear the Achilles because of these guys not being, explosive running QBs. But it could be a simple tackle. It could be a simple off balance, planting on the good leg, and that leg has been stressed. And I've said this before. I tore my patellar tendon in my knee, and my other patellar tendon is in bad shape too, because you tend to, like brake pads, right, on your car, wear and tear the same degree on both sides of your body. So if you've got bad meniscus in one knee and you haven't had some kind of traumatic knee injury that's caused that, you probably have bad meniscus in the other knee. You have patellar tendonitis in one leg, you have patellar tendonitis in the other leg. You've got knee pain in one knee, you got knee pain in the other knee. You wear things very similar, right? So if you're tearing your Achilles down with your actions and your course of training and how you don't stretch and how you plant your leg, how much compensation you put on both your Achilles because of the way your muscle structure is, or how you lean over your knees instead of back behind them when you run or jump. There's a lot of reasons why your Achilles gets vulnerable. And when you tear it, your other Achilles is not just sitting there going, well, we skated by. We actually are really, really healthy on this side of the body. It tends to be like the patellar tendon, where if one of them is bad, that means you've been wearing it down, doing things you shouldn't do. I needed to jump differently. I had too much calf strength and not enough quad strength, and years and years of jumping like that put a vulnerability in place for my patellar tendons to snap. And so my left patellar tendon I have not torn is probably not in the greatest shape. And that's similar to Achilles. So you got to think to yourself, like, you got this Achilles on the left side or right side, whichever side we're talking about, that's healthy. How healthy is it? So there's concern, okay? There's concern that Aaron Rodgers could go out there and tear his other Achilles. But he doesn't run a lot. This should be a great year for him. He looks fantastic. Mentally, he's ready. He's throwing darts all over the field. Sometimes a weird hindrance can turn a bunch of different qualities into even bigger strengths. If you injure your dominant right arm and you're in a cast, you learn to do things with your left arm. And then when you come out of your cast, you're all of a sudden a better, more coordinated person. And I just think that maybe Aaron Rodgers is fine-tuning some skills based on his inability to be as mobile. And now that he's getting more and more mobile, he's going to be a more well-rounded, smarter quarterback because of it. And I think having Garrett Wilson, having the best defense he's ever been handed, a defense that will play much better than it ever did last year. Why? Because it was tired. The defense was tired. They were giving up. They were worn down to a nub because this offense wasn't doing its job, and the defense got tired of doing their job and then having the offense, absolutely crap the bed. Then the defense would do their job and the offense, and eventually they got tired. They got worn out. This defense is going to play much better this year with a good offense. The offense will set up the defense field position-wise. The defense will set up the offense field position-wise. It goes both ways, and the Jets have a chance to win their division. The Jets have a chance to march into the playoffs, and with multiple playoff wins, the Jets have a chance to be a top 4 team in the National Football League. Bijan Robinson might be our projected number 1 running back, but Breece Hall might be right at his heels, nipping at his heels, and they could rotate. I don't think Breece Hall leads the league in rushing like Bijan will or could. I think Breece Hall is similar to a hybrid of the Kamara sort that is going to sum total have near the amount of yards that Bijan has, near the amount of total touchdowns potentially, but Breece Hall is going to have an electric season. They've improved this offensive line in New York up and down the entire thing on both sides. This is almost a brand new offensive line, retooled, lots of firepower on this offensive line. Breece Hall is going to have more room to run than ever. Aaron Rodgers is going to be protected more than ever. They absolutely invested in this offensive line, and Aaron Rodgers and the boys are going to be doing some good things this year. Garrett Wilson to the mother freaking moon. Come on, man. Pick up.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey man, it's Devontae Adams again. Call me back, bro.
In your eyes, the light that hit your eyes, complete your lies.
This is an exciting year, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of things we wanted to come true last year are going to come true this year. Bijan, we got screwed on that one. That's on me. I take an L. I'll even send myself on a lap right. It's on me to have assumed that Arthur Smith wasn't going to ruin the situation like he did. And even so, Bijan was still running back 9. But we got screwed out of Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson exploding in 2023. That's not going to happen this year. We're going to get our revenge tour. We're going to get our vengeance this year with these 3 players, with the entire staff, with the entire QB room. Okay, that sum total is probably the best QB room, safest QB room, not best QB room, but safest QB room in the National Football League in Kirk Cousins and also Michael Penix Jr. There are no safer pass catchers in the league than Bijan Kyle Pitts in London, given there's Kirk Cousins who gunslings, and if something goes awry, then you have a gunslinging rookie in Michael Penix Jr., who's my second-ranked quarterback behind only JD5. You heard me correct, and I've said that all offseason. That's not a new revelation. I've had Michael Penix Jr. on the bold prediction boards here. The Moonmen list, he's been there from the beginning, from I think January something. We put Penix Jr. up there, and it wasn't well received for a while because the national championship game came after I put him on the board, and everybody said, "Oh, I don't think he's going in the first round anymore." And I said, "That is not correct." I said he would be a first rounder. Penix Jr. could be easily a top 10 pick and should be, and he was. You got the most secure QB room in the National Football League in Atlanta. You've got the best running back in the National Football League overall in Atlanta. You've got a top 5 Mike Evans in the making wide receiver in Drake London that has tremendous value despite being a guy that people say is going too high. He's in the second round. He's your second drafted player. He is Mike Evans 2.0. He is a 12 to 14 touchdown receiver. He's a 100 catch receiver. He's a 13 to 1400 yard receiver. Drake London is going to the mother freaking moon this year, and I love that people doubt him. I'm here for it.
Let's go, mashed potatoes! Yeah, buddy.
Doubt him if you want. I dare you. I dare you to continue to doubt the man known as Drake London, because he's coming for you and he's going to make you look like a fool if you doubt him. Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall to the moon.
To the moon.
Scratch that.
To Saturn.
To Saturn. And then the last piece of news here, T. Higgins, on a not somber note of sorts, but T. Higgins is... They've not reached a long-term deal with T. Higgins over in Cincinnati, and I don't expect them to because Jermaine Burton is probably the heir apparent over there at the number 2 wide receiver spot in Cincy. And I don't think this team wants T. Higgins there at all in terms of what he wants to be paid, how he's treating this situation. They're ready to move on. They're going to try and win a championship. They're going to try and make a deep playoff run with T. Higgins. And then next year's next year. Maybe they franchise tag him and try and trade him again if he has a big year. If he doesn't, then franchise tagging him at what will probably be $28 million, $29 million. You know, who the hell knows? Could be $30 million by the time all these contracts get signed. But, you know, this is going to be it's going to be tough to know whether Ayuk or T. Higgins will be, if both of them are in their current situations. And let's say Ayuk doesn't get a long-term deal and he plays on his 5th-year option. It's hard to know if both wide receivers will be capable of being franchise tagged given their play. You have to ball out in order to be worthy of that tag, because you don't want to, as a team, being stuck with that tag amount and no team wanting to trade for a franchise tag player. And so it's going to be wild. But T. Higgins, to me, is one of the biggest avoids in fantasy football. He's in, you could say, you know, not the best space right now from a mental perspective. And with that holdout mode mentality, there's that risk of injury that got injected into his situation. And the same thing could be said about what's his face over in San Francisco. Oh, Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, if he doesn't, even if he's traded to Washington, let's say a week from now, he's entering a territory of injury risk. When you hold out, you are an injury risk. It doesn't matter if you're working out at home, you got chains wrapped around your body and you're doing push-ups on rubber bands and levitating, doing squats. It doesn't matter. You are subject to injury, and you're also subject to having a bad year, just being out of sync. Look at Deebo Samuel. So that's the news for right now. Appreciate everybody filing on into this building here. Hit that thumb up button. Let's open them phone lines, shall we, and have discussion about Atlanta Falcons, New York Jets, whatever, Niners, whatever you want to talk about. The Fantasy Football Show phone lines are open, brought to you by theattic.shop.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. Hoosier says fade CD Lamb. Fade CD Lamb. Here's what I have to say about that.
Get lamb. Wrong. Muy mal.
You know, you said some things on this show before, Hoosiers. That is not a good look, pal. That is not a good look at all. Fade CD Lamb. What in the hell are you talking about? Arrogance, you're live. What is up?
What is good, Smitty? All right. So, this tight end news. We're trying to figure out what tight ends we want. It seems like there's so much depth this year. I mean, Dalton Kincaid could completely pop off and be wide receiver 1 for them. Now you got, Kyle Pitts going nuts. I mean, we definitely need some kind of a ranking on these guys because I can't make a decision on which one I like the best. Sam Ford's going to go nuts. I mean,
all right. Yeah, no, I've got that in the works anyway. So tight end, I think it's like 1 or 2 in the pecking order. I'll see if I can try and crank that out today. But tight end ranking video is on the books. I've recorded some of it already. I mean, in a nutshell, bro, it's like I said earlier, Kyle Pitts is de facto locked into a safe territory that is in that top 5, 6. Because you have Kelsey locked into most people's top 3, you've got Laporta at number 1, and then you've got this McBride and Kincaid blender. Where are they going? 2, 3, 4, 5, but they're all above Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is sitting there where Evan Ingram might be. A lot of people like Ingram a little more than Kyle Pitts, so you're talking about 5, 6, 7 potentially, and that's very, very safe. The tight end room has never been deeper. The wide receiver room has never been deeper. The running back room, the quarterback room, across all positions, we've never seen. I've done this 23 plus years. There's very few people in this industry, maybe Matthew Berry, maybe 1 or 2 other people that can say what I'm saying right now. I've been doing this professionally, not messing around, and having a little blog or an Instagram or something, like professionally for 23 plus years, 19 of it straight on radio. Before the pandemic took out that 23-year running radio show, longest in the world on NBC and NBC Sports Radio and CBS Sports Radio. Bounce back and forth between the 2 dials. But I've done this 23 years, and not many people at all can say this. I've never seen the positions deeper across all 4 of them. Tight end, wide receiver, running back, and QB. And that gives you the best case for best player available that I've ever seen in my life. And so when people make claims, and I'm not saying you were, but if someone's to come in and say, well, the tight end room's so deep, maybe we just punt it. You could say that about all 4 positions, though. Like when you say that about one position, then you could have a conversation about, well, the QB room's so deep this year. Why don't we punt QB? Okay, well, yeah, sure. That makes sense on the surface level. But the running back room is so deep this year, the running back rankings, maybe we punt running back. You could say it about all 4 positions. It's never been deeper. There are running backs like Najee, and I'm not saying I love Najee necessarily right now. I almost love Jaylen Warren more. So Jaylen Warren, Trey Benson, Connor, Zach Moss, Zamir White. We have running backs. Walker was full. We have running backs falling into the 70s and 80s that arguably could be low-end running back 1s. The running back position's as deep as can be. We also have wide receivers like Keon Coleman and just a plethora of wide receivers that we look down. I look down at wide receiver. Looking at even like Hollywood Brown, wide receiver 32. Wide receiver 32. We've got Christian Watson, wide receiver 43. Keon Coleman, wide receiver 47. In a non-best ball, you're seeing a lot of the guys like DK and Tank Dell and potentially George Pickens and guys like that falling well past the 3rd, 4th round, or DK going around 4, definitely a late 3rd instead of round 2. Non-best ball, the wide receiver difference is the big extreme between the ADPs of non-best ball and best ball. So understand that the wide receivers are in best ball, the only ones that feel like they aren't as deep because people are over consuming them. But that's why I'm such a big running back guy this year. I believe the king of running back. I think we probably promote running back, especially in best ball more than anybody, because running back in best ball is a taboo. Oh, you don't know what you're doing if you're creating content around running back, and best ball. That's all I want to do.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
So,
I do agree.
Anyway,
never been this deep ever.
Yeah, tight end. We'll do a tight end video. Rockout says take a lap on Bijan. Smitty, I take a lap on Bijan. No, Rockout, I take a lap on Bijan. But I don't even feel that bad about it because we know that my assessment's correct. It's just a year late, but even so, running back 9 didn't lose anybody leagues. I had a guy come in here into the live chat a little while ago, I want to say like a month ago, and he's like, Smitty, your Bijan take lost a lot of leagues. I'm like, bro, in the leagues I won, a majority of them had Bijan. What in the hell are you talking about? Because you drafted bad on the rest of your team. Don't blame that on me. But I will take an L on the Bijan Robinson being running back 1 or 2, like I said, all offseason last year. And he wasn't. He was running back 9. But that's still so respectable given this guy played like a running back 3 volume-wise. They fed... There was so many games where Bijan wasn't even used at all. He had the migraine game, and then the other games that he didn't even get utilized, where it was like, oh my God, he was worthless in these 2 or 3 games, and he still finished as running back 9. Imagine what he's going to do now that he has an offensive coordinator in Zach Robinson and a head coach in Raheem Morris that don't just believe in him. They continue to pump out the news and quotes on this guy's going to be fed and he's going to be remarkable, and we're taking away Bijan cards left and right.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
I want to keep mine, Smitty. I stuck with him.
All right.
I think Arthur Smith needs to take a lap.
All right. Anything else, Arrogance? You can call back if you got another one. I'm going to keep the phone lines liquid and fluid.
Bijan number 1 overall.
All right, later, bro. On that note, everybody else needs to stay liquid, as we say on this channel. Somebody sent me some people sent me a clip of other channels using that term. There's no way another channel is using the term "stay liquid," stay loose, stay liquid with your strategy. How are people using that term? That's God. Everybody's copying everything we do. But you gotta stay liquid. You gotta stay loose, loosey goosey, liquid. Roll with the flow. Flow inside round 1. Is it running back? Is it wide receiver? You want to go running back. Flow over and draft a double RB. I mean, goodness gracious, hit that thumb up button, as Derek Lincoln says. Smash it. Do it live. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
If I had to guess, Kyle Pitts is I'll put him at tight end 4 or 5. He definitely could be a top 3 tight end, no doubt about it. But I can't move Laporta outright. I can't move McBride out, and I can't move Kincaid out. So he does kind of become my de facto 4. But in that, you're packaging in his ability to be 1, 2, or 3. Like, he really could be that good. So that's what you want in your fantasy football draft selection, is an ability to have a higher ceiling than the cost of entry. You're stepping into tight end 5 or 6 when you draft him, but you might, that's his floor. So that's exactly what you want. Rock out with another $2 hauler. We were first. Yes, we were, young man. We were first.
To the moon.
If you're not first, you're last. We all know that. That is the motto of life. This Falcon team's resilient. This Falcon team is resilient like another man that I know that's resilient right now.
Let's go, mashed potatoes! Yeah, buddy.
How important is getting a top 5 tight end? It's neither more important or less important than the other positions, is what I'm trying to say with this equality across all the positions. The depth of quality of depth across all 4 positions, QB, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, is so phenomenal that best player available needs to guide you, because what if you get Goddard playing as tight end 5 or 6 this year and you're getting him late? So there's no emphasis on drafting a position. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Never draft a position. Saying, should we get a top 5 tight end? That's drafting a position. Draft a player. Let best player available open the door for you. Okay? So you don't need to draft a tight end early. You don't need to draft a tight end late. If someone says wait on a tight end because it's a deep tight end pool, they didn't listen to a word that I just said. If someone says one thing definitively about a position and drafting a position, they aren't listening to what I said. And when I say I'm a big running back proponent, understand what I'm saying. The likelihood, looking at the ADP data, running through the scenarios, the likelihood of running back being the best option on the table when you have anything close to the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 overall pick ends up being the case. Running back is usually the best player available, but you do not want to lock yourself into even running back. Never lock yourself in. Do not draft a position, draft a player. Don't plan for, we take a tight end early. We don't take a tight end early. We take a quarterback early. We don't take a quarterback early. 604 caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Smitty, this is Alex. I'm calling from Vancouver, BC.
What's up, Alex? What can I do for you? Alex from Vancouver.
Yes, sir. So I got a little bit of a dilemma. I'm in a 2-keeper league, and I won my league last year thanks to your advice, so I appreciate that. But I got CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and Breece Hall, and I can only keep 2 of these guys. And I'm almost thinking of making a play to
Chase and Hall. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. And I'm wondering, if I should maybe just keep Chase and Lamb, or make a trade with 2 of those guys for Bijan Robinson and a draft pick type of deal.
I mean, look, all those sound good. I think Hall and Bijan are very comparable, so I don't know that. But if you can get Bijan and then a draft pick, it makes sense because if you send these 2 guys and you get Bijan and you get a draft pick, that's probably the best scenario. Because not only is Bijan slightly better than Hall, slightly, and they might not be. It's just in my opinion, I'm wanting Bijan just a smidge more, but it's negligible, and it's potentially.
They're so tight. It's
but bro,
with that speed is just so tough.
But bro, if you can only keep one guy, the only thing that would concern me is make sure the pick is good, because if this guy only has Bijan, now you're giving him Hall and Chase. He's now got tremendous value for one player. He's taking advantage of your situation while you're taking advantage of his situation, right? Because you don't care so much about what he's doing. You want Bijan, Lamb in the pick versus just not having the pick and having to choose between your options. But you also don't want to hand a guy that just has Bijan, Chase, and Hall without depleting his draft selections a little bit. So you got to be a little bit careful there. If you aren't able to pull off a trade, my advice on keeping 2 guys would be, number 1, first and foremost, you keep Lamb chops. He's a wide receiver. Not that should make your decision, but it does give you the number 1 potential wide receiver in the league, the number 1 potential overall pick. I will probably lean toward Hall because you have the 1 wide receiver already, and I just think this gives you a top 1 to 2 or 3 running back. It gives you a top 1 to 2 wide receiver, while Chase could be the wide receiver 1, he could be the wide receiver 5, he could be the wide receiver 7. This is just a much better approach to go Hall and Lamb, in my opinion. Get that balance when all things are equal, and Hall and Chase are equal. So when all things are equal, always resort to balance if you can. You hear me preach running back. Of course I love it, but that's off the cuff, that's off the board, that's drafting and saying the best player available. A lot of times in round 1 and 2 is going to be running back, and I'm going to be a big advocate of that when best player available opens that door. But when you're presented with an opportunity for balance, always take balance. Lamb, Hall, balance, smash it, do it live. But I do entertain that Bijan Lamb situation, because you'd have arguably the number 1 running back in fantasy and arguably the number 1 wide receiver, and the draft pick. So just make sure you hit him with the draft pick, though, bro. You got to get something good.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Well, I'll update you. Thank you.
All right, later, Alex. Appreciate you. Yeah, buddies. Anybody have another phone call? Dial into the show. I can't wait for Bijan. I can't wait for Bijan to have a masterful year, just be an absolute glorious fantasy football producer, the kind of producer we've been waiting for. Again, you know, we should have saw it last year, but even if, let's say, they got rid of Arthur Smith, Bijan's in a position to do what he was supposed to do. But the thing that's so crazy to me, if anybody's doubting Bijan as maybe the number 1 overall running back this year, anybody doubting this, I just have to ask you, like, not only is he potentially going to get the volume now because Arthur Smith's out, that's like by default that's going to happen, right? Because Arthur's gone. But now he has a quarterback. Now he has 2 quarterbacks. He has the safest room in the league. 951 caller, you got the background noise or something going on, bro. Turn that down if you could. Or I have to disconnect.
My bad, bro.
It's really, 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 really head scratching to me that someone doesn't see that he's gonna get carries now, which he wasn't getting, and he's got a QB room that's gonna move this football, matriculate it down the football field. They're gonna live in the red zone. How are these 2 fixes not telling you that the running back 9 last year in Bijan isn't gonna be running back 1 when he did all of it with no carries, no workload that resembled running back 1 carries or workload, and he had the worst QB situation you could have? How is he not going from running back 9 with those 2 enhancements to running back 1 or 2 or at least top 3? 951 caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Trent from Riverside.
Trent from Riverside. What is up? Is that California?
California.
Okay. Trent from California.
Yeah, California. Bro, hey, can you do like a rate my lineup? Because I just had my draft yesterday.
Yeah, don't give me the whole bench. Just give me the starters.
Cool. So I drafted Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, Kenneth Walker, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, Zach Moss.
Hold on one second, bro.
And the 49ers defense.
All right. Great. Looks good. I like it. Nice job.
Yes,
who
sir. Thank you.
Who are the wide receivers?
Devontae Smith and Deebo Samuel. And
Okay.
I also have Devontae Smith in the flex.
Okay. I like it, bro. Nice job.
Yeah,
Devontae Smith.
You, bro. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Devontae Smith and look, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are in for a big season. That this Kellen Moore is going to orchestrate what we've seen in Dallas, in Philly, but more importantly, you look at a guy like Keenan Allen last year, who was wide receiver 3, 4, 5 overall, depending on your scoring. And you just got to think, I mean, it's tough to know which one of A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith they're going to pop, but they probably will both pop because Kellen Moore, you know, he'll probably utilize both of them, but this is going to be a big season for the Philadelphia Eagles and for those wide receivers. Kellen Moore loves to feed a wide receiver, you know, so I doubt one of them gets fed and the other doesn't, but one of them will probably be remarkable. It's hard to know which one. Probably going to be A.J. Brown a little bit more so than Devontae Smith, but if A.J. Brown can't stay healthy, he's had a lot of knee injuries in his past. I mean, we're looking at Devontae Smith if A.J. Brown misses significant time being a top 5 to 7 wide receiver for a string of games. But even if A.J. Brown's healthy all year, and I hope he is, then you're talking about a top 11, 12 wide receiver season minimum, I think, for Devontae Smith. So I love Smith. I love Deebo. Deebo runs, Deebo catches. Deebo is the guy that's there right now preparing. Ayuk is the guy that's not. And so I really think Deebo's in for a big season as well. He's also the best yak yardage receiver in maybe the history of the NFL, but definitely the last 10 years. And he gets no respect. Everyone keeps saying, oh, he doesn't run routes as good. This guy is the number 1 yak yardage receiver in the league. He's had 3 seasons where he's been the number 1 in the last 10. That's crazy.
Love to love to hear. Hey, bro, if I had to critique one thing about, I guess, my lineup, how confident are you in Devontae Adams this year?
Go watch my Devontae Adams show, bro. He's unfortunately. Let me show you the
I know. I
planet
try to
Uranus.
when I can. Heck yeah.
And off he goes to the
Yes, sir.
planet.
All right,
I like Davante Adams, bro. I think he has one more year left physically, but I don't think his situation is all that different from last year. And he had a really good finish though. He had a really good finish. I remember in his final week, he had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He helped me win a championship. So Davante Adams has got the talent still, but I don't think his QB situation is going to be good for the long term. He's going to still get a lot of hospital balls. This guy's fed up, and he made a dumb decision by not lobbying to get out of LV. He really could have. I think he still could. He could still get traded by midseason, especially if the Raiders are not doing well. I could see Adams walking in and saying, "Please get rid of me," because I have very little time left. I want to go play with Aaron Rodgers, and that could then up his value quite a bit if, let's say, he starts off okay, and then the Raiders are losing, and he says trade me, and they trade him. They grant his wish, and they say, look, we can't do anything with him anyway. If we're losing, we might as well get some value out of it as well. So it's a equal, beneficial proposition for the Raiders to trade him, handful of weeks into the season if they're just losing and taking L's. So maybe he rejuvenates his value a little bit with Aaron Rodgers in New York or something like that. But if he does get traded, it will be to New York. It seems like that's going to be the case. And if the New York Jets get Aaron Rodgers gets Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall, we'll be a little bit concerned about volume and the distribution of it, but it'll be exciting. All right. Hey, we'll see you later, Trent. Call in if you got another one.
Man, I appreciate you. I watch every day, bro.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Later. Bruce, you're live. Brucey.
Hey, Smitty, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If we're thinking a lot of the Falcons are going to benefit, what about Kirk Cousins? How high do you have him?
Crafty QB. We always talk about how deep the position is, and I end up never drafting Kirk Cousins in a 1 QB as my solo starter, but it crosses my mind because if you get, the thing is I just keep running into other players before I end up ever getting to that point. But I will say in best ball, I'll draft in a 1 QB best ball, I'll draft a Hurts or somebody, and I'll always look to get Cousins as my QB2. And then my last pick in the draft, I grab Penix Jr. And then that way I have this cuff situation. I always love having 3 QBs. This is a absolutely insane, huge, sleeping giant 1 QB best ball QB2 approach because of the ability that this offense has, because one of these QBs is going to be on occasion bumping Hurts out of the lineup in an optimal 1 QB scoring on best ball, because they're just going to have Cousins is going to have a 300-yard 3 TD game, and maybe Hurts has that good game, but it doesn't top of that. This is a great strategy in best ball. In a non-best ball, look, I mean, there's value here. You take Cousins and Penix Jr., it does leave you more opportunities to fill all the other spots up. And so it's a nice option. There's nothing wrong with it. I can't say I've used it a lot just because I draft Hurts, I draft Josh Allen, I draft AR5, I draft JD5. I think I did draft JD5, and I haven't also drafted a ton of non-best ball redraft yet, as most of us wait until August for that. But I have done one that I think I have JD5. I may have Cousins in that one, but JD5 I drafted as my starter. But that's a good, situation too. The thing I like about this in best ball versus non-best ball is that you don't have to make any decisions. It would be hard to decide, especially as JD5 comes out of the gate. You don't know how great he'll be in week 1 or how much he could struggle or whatever, and I don't know that he will. I'm just saying you might make the wrong call for 3 or 4 weeks and switch, and then all of a sudden JD5 blows up. And so I like this because you don't have to make any decisions in best ball. It's just if Cousins balls out, if Penix Jr. balls out, and whoever your quarterback is doesn't, then it's decided for you. So it's a fantastic best ball approach.
And the last question I have is that the 1 QB, handcuff you have is just them 2? Like you wouldn't handcuff any other quarterbacks?
But I don't think I would, bro. I don't think there's any other QB in fantasy that is worth handcuffing at all. I mean,
Except
like
for Penix, right?
Yeah, just Penix Jr. But it's a great cuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything that makes any sense because the position's so deep, bro. I mean, it's such a deep position. You got Aaron Rodgers as QB number 20. So Rodgers is QB 20. You know, even Levis is QB 25. I don't love Levis, though. He's okay. But I'm just trying to go, deep into the QB pool. QB 11 is JD5. QB 10 is Jordan Love. QB 9 is Dak Prescott. There's just no need to be cuffing anything. The only reason I love cuffing that situation is because it's an explosive offense, and Penix Jr. might be better than Kirk Cousins. And there's no other scenario in the league like that. There's no reason to even consider. Not when you're talking about this deep of a QB pool. You have no business even considering it. But with this one-off situation, Fields and Wilson as well. Yeah, sorry, Fields and Wilson for sure. But that depends. Like in non-best ball, I don't know that I'm doing it. In best ball, I'm definitely doing it. Fields and Wilson in Superflex win leagues. Penix Jr. and Cousins in Dynasty Superflex win leagues. So, yeah, definitely would say that the only two, Fields and Wilson. But I don't know that I love that in non-best ball, though. So we're talking non-best ball. But in Superflex, Fields and Wilson, and you could call it Wilson and Fields if you want, this wins leagues in Superflex. This is a Superflex gold mine. And then Cousins goes high in redraft Superflex, but in Dynasty Superflex, Penix Jr. doesn't go high enough because he's not starting yet, and Cousins doesn't go high because he's old. So in Superflex Dynasty, this is your Superflex Dynasty QB2 gold right here. Cousins, Penix Jr. This is your Superflex redraft and Dynasty secondary option. This is a fantastic QB2. Fantastic. Okay. But those are the only ones. Those are the only two. But I don't know that I'm doing this in redraft. I think you just have too many other options. So let me rephrase what I was saying earlier. The only one worth doing in non-best ball redraft is Cousins, Penix Jr. I have taken some standalone Fields in a non-best ball deep QB or a deep bench, league. But it's probably not the wisest use of resources in a non-best ball redraft. To cuff Wilson and Fields, you just don't need to. There's too many QBs. But in Dynasty Superflex, this is gold, bro. This is absolute gold. I'm going to do a Dynasty, how to dominate your Dynasty Superflex. It will incorporate these two combos, especially in Dynasty. Dynasty, you win leagues. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth, Brucey. You win Dynasty Superflex leagues with Cousins, Penix Jr. as a QB2. Trust me, because I said that Jordan Love would win leagues in Superflex last year, and Jordan Love did absolutely that.
Mashed potatoes!
All
right, Brucey, appreciate you. Call back if you got another. God, Love was a smash last year. Absolute smash. Absolute smash. AR5 and Flacco. Hell no, bro. Flacco. No, there's no need to cuff. The only two considerations are these two. There is no reason to cuff a quarterback like Flacco to 8. No, hell no. Flacco's not to be drafted. That is a ridiculous use of resources. These are the only two players, the only 4 players that should be involved in a QB cuffing situation. And Fields and Wilson are fantastic in best ball. Not so fantastic in non-best ball because you can just do better. But in Superflex, Fields and Wilson win leagues. In Superflex, Cousins and Penix Jr. win leagues if it's Dynasty. Understand it. All right. What else we got? Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Do it live. Falcons have lots of upsides. Absolutely, Cole. Falcons are just going to explode. I mean, Raheem Morris might win Coach of the Year. He's definitely going to be in the top 3 candidates of Coach of the Year. There's no way he can't be. It's going to be such a great year. And Zach Robinson, I'm afraid he's going to be raptured for a head coaching job next year. You know, that's the downside of some of these OC builds that we're talking about, as they immediately become head coaches right away. Yeah. Please don't draft your QB1 real life backup except for the 2 Smitty saying. Thanks for repeating what I've been saying, Hoosiers. Thanks for. He's like the guy in the background when someone says, and you're gonna do it, and the guy in the background goes, do it. Bijan's gonna ball. He's gonna ball. What's up with you today, Hoosiers? JD5 is a good dynasty QB. No, DC Hogs. We only have him on the Saturn Man list for just fun and shits and giggles.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for
Look at him. Look at him. JD5, he's a top, not only is he a good dynasty QB Hogs, he's a top 5 quarterback. He might be a top 5 quarterback as a rookie. I mean, AR5 was. He was playing that way. AR5 is a Saturn Mars man.
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
Look at him.
Man.
Look at him. He's one of the 5s.
There are 2 5s? JD5, AR5? There can't be.
Oh no.
They're gonna cross streams.
I'm just kidding with you, Hoosiers. Calm down. Appreciate you. You don't need to apologize. Don't say, for saying my bad. Marsman Rock Out, you are live. What can I do for you, young man?
Yeah, for some reason, Hall been kind of taking a back seat in some people's minds, even though he's a beast. But between pick 6 and 8, would you take Hall or AJ Brown?
I don't know if he's taking a back seat. I mean, he's pretty popular. I would say there's nothing wrong with either approach. I would lean Hall for sure, personally, but I understand it. I could definitely win a league drafting AJ Brown instead of Hall, because I feel like I could 1,000 ways to build a winning team. It's close enough that I could, if I auto drafted Hall, AJ Brown instead of Hall, I wouldn't be sitting there smashing my phone against the desk. I'd be like, man, I want a Hall, but that's right, we're gonna smash on this, especially in best ball. But in non-best ball, specifically, it's even more of I'm going Hall, I'm going Bijan, I'm going Gibbs over AJ Brown. But I do love AJ Brown in best ball. The reason it's okay to lean toward the AJ Brown side is because of the stacking approach and all that, which is not mandatory. It's not a must, and people overstacked and they overemphasize stacking in this industry, and it drives me nuts. But there is a lot of good reason, a good strategy involved in AJ Brown being your first rounder, so that you can grab Hurts and have a nice little combo. But non-best ball stacking is not necessary at all. I do like AJ Brown and Hurts in non-best ball stacking, just because the offense. I mean, you look at Hurts being a top 6 quarterback 11 weeks out of 17 last year. That is consistency, that stacking, that it makes sense for non-best ball stacking, because you're getting an offense that's constantly producing. So therefore, stacking on that team isn't a downside. But in other situations where, like the Miami Dolphins, for example, having Tua and Tyreek Hill is smart potentially in best ball, but in non-best ball, it could be your demise, because if they have inconsistency and they run the ball a ton and Tua doesn't throw and they still win the game or something, they could have a good game and not, have Tua throw the ball a ton. It might be all through the RBs. You're decimated more times, by having the combo in a non-best ball than you are in having the Eagle players. So stacking is not advisable for the most part in non-best ball. Not to the tune of you actually taking a player over another player because of a stack. That is stupidity in non-best ball. And for some reason, people can't separate it. They're bringing it over to redraft non-best ball. They're like, I'm doing it so much, I can get the stack, Smitty, in non-best ball. I can get the stack. And I'm like, who cares?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But Hall's gonna ball. Hall's gonna ball. I think we got something for that.
Brees Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Brees. He's Brees.
He does a hull of a job. A hull of a job. A hull of a job.
Brees Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a hell of a job.
What else you got there, Mars Man? Rock out.
Yeah, if you're trying to go for JD5 and you're not trying to get like a top QB, who would you take before JD5 to carry that quarterback room?
I mean, it's just whoever's. Josh Allen's the number one quarterback in fantasy. Mahomes and Hurts are pretty much tied for me. So, those are the top 3 guys, and I would take Hurts, I would take Mahomes, and I would take Josh Allen in a non-best ball in the 3rd round without a hesitation. And I pity the fool that says that that's a bad move, that's a reach to take one of those top scoring players, a guy that can outscore everybody in fantasy football. Mahomes last year had a bad year. The year prior, 1 year prior, he was the number 1 overall fantasy football scorer in the entire game. And he's obviously the number 1 quarterback, but he's the number 1 fantasy scorer. And to think that drafting the number 1 overall fantasy scorer in the 3rd round in a non-best ball is a mistake is laughable. And in best ball, Mahomes goes in the 5th round, top of round 5. You can get him almost guaranteed in round 4. And Hurts goes now in round 4. Stroud goes in round 6, 7 in best ball. He goes in round 5-ish in non-best ball. Stroud could have 40 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. There's nothing wrong with early quarterback. But to answer your question, I'd have to be on the clock. You know what I mean? I can't just say draft this guy with JD5. That's again drafting. Yeah. That's getting too specific. We got to know who's there. I would take any one of those 3 cute QBs. So I love all 3. Josh Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes. They are my top 3. They are locked into my top 3. There's nobody slipping in there. AR5 is a real nice, 4th option. I think AR5 has the capability of being the number 1 overall fantasy football scorer at the QB position or number 1 overall scorer in fantasy. There's no reason AR5 can't do that. Do we draft him to do that? No. We must very much protect ourselves from ourselves and not be expecting AR5 to be the number 1 overall scorer and number 1 overall quarterback. But does his range of outcomes have, I'm the QB 1 overall? It absolutely does. And if we continue to draft AR5 in the QB 4, 5, 6 territory, we are baking in every bit of risk you could humanly possibly bake in. And that is glory. That is what you call smashing the hell out of your draft. And I'm here for it. All right, hold on 1 second, Rock Out. Let me go back to Bruce real quick, who just jumped on the line. Brucey, what is up?
Hey, Smitty, I have a question, and I've been thinking about this. What do you think of Hopkins this year, DeAndre Hopkins, in best ball or redraft?
We talked about this a lot. Not that I expect you to see or hear everything we talk about. We have hours and hours a day of video. I don't, he's somebody that I'm not super high on. He's 30. Ziggy, how old is DeAndre Hopkins? 32?
DeAndre Hopkins is 32 years old.
So he
and was
turns.
born on June 6,
Yeah,
1992.
he just turned 32, so at least he's not turning 33, but he's 32 years old. That doesn't happen very often. Like, betting against a 32-year-old receiver is a great bet. I think that is there a 1 in 8 chance he could have one more like 80% good season, but then crap the bed the final couple weeks of the season, and then what's it all for anyway? And I'm not trying to say that McCaffrey crapped the bed necessarily last year, but McCaffrey and Kamara got me to monster best ball, top 10 positioning. And I think it was the Big Board Super, I forget what tournament, and I'm sitting there hovering around 10 to 15 overall with McCaffrey and Kamara both to go, and they both sat the second half, and I plummeted down to like 34 or something like that in that best ball tournament. But I could have won the entire thing if Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara had both played the second half. And this is where it's not in weeklies where you have the whole field still in it all the way until the end. This is when it gets narrowed down to like 300 people, and not many people have McCaffrey and Kamara, if any, really. So like you are setting yourself apart. When you're in the final round of a best ball tournament and there's 300 and something people, like Christian Watson has a 70-yard touchdown, you're like trained to think, oh, I'm gonna move from 7th place to like 100th, but you move almost no spots at all because not everybody's got different teams. There's only 300 teams left. So my whole point being that, like, Hopkins, you don't want to be, and McCaffrey and Kamara definitely aren't the types that I'm saying are gonna necessarily leave you hanging. I'm just merely trying to point out that, like, you don't want that very likely chance that Hopkins does that. You're being telegraphed. Hopkins is going to be the guy that does that for you in week 16, week 17. In a best ball, Hopkins is a little safer because if that happens, you got another receiver that automatically goes in for you. But Hopkins at 32 years old, winding down at the end of the year, is going to be the kind of guy that leaves you hanging at the end of the season, and you're going to be like, well, he was good for half of the year, but what good is that if he literally shit the bed on the way out the door and I lost because of it? I just can't get behind Hopkins on a full season. I think best ball, it makes more sense, especially if you had Ridley cuffed to him, which is hard to do and makes sense if you got to take both of them too high, but if they both fall, you could do that kind of cuffing. I think Hopkins and Ridley can rotate potentially for you in a solid way, because I think Levis will be throwing the damn ball a ton. Rain says Hopkins is my wide receiver 5 in Dynasty. What in the...
Take a lap. Take a lap. Take a lap. Muy mal. Get lammed.
I appreciate you, Rain, but what in the hell are you talking about, bro? Hopkins is your number 5 Dynasty wide receiver? We got to have a discussion. You need to go look at my Dynasty channel, Rain. We need to get you versed on Dynasty. What in the hell you doing? Back there. Anything else? On his Dynasty team, maybe? No, on my team. Okay. Well, that you might want to be careful how you word these things, Rain. Hopkins is my wide receiver 5 in Dynasty. That's pretty. That's Rock Out just left. Rock Out. We'll see you later, pal. Anything else, Bruce?
No, I'm all right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, later, bro. Ray G says, ooh. All right. Any final phone calls? I'm going to jump and have some cheese dip that Miss Smitty just made. This is beautiful corn, cheese. I think there's chicken in it. And Rotel. It's an amazing cheese dip. Doing it live. Appreciate you all. Bijan to the moon.
To the moon.
Kyle Pitts to the moon.
To the the moon.
The QB room that includes Cousins and Penix Jr. to the moon.
To the moon.
Drake London to the moon.
To the moon.
And all of them to Saturn.
To Saturn.
And back. Monsters, the fantasy football show. Bijan, London, Kyle Pitts, Penix Jr., Cousins, breaking news edition concludes right now. I'll see you all in a little bit. Please hit that thumb up button on the way out the door. Thank you to my super chatters. Rock out. Appreciate you, my guy. We had a couple members. I think we had somebody. We had a 9-month membership. Can you revoke my Bijan card for losing the championship? I sure can.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
Appreciate you. Alec also became a member. Alec, appreciate you becoming a member on the channel. Appreciate you, my guy. You're the man, the myth, the legend. Alec to the moon. And I'll see you all on a episode tonight, maybe. I don't know. We might go live, or I'll do some sort of. I don't know if I'll do a live stream or if I'll do some sort of premiere. And I think we are in need of a tight end ranking video. So I think we'll probably move that ahead. I was starting to record it, but I might even have to redo it all. Things change. And I want to make sure I have it accurate. So we'll be back potentially for a tight end ranking video. I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. Go get Bijan, baby. Go get Bijan and do it live.
Hi, my name is Bijan Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the Bruce's mother.
Get Bijan.
Bijan.
Welcome to the Smitty Bunch. Look at this glorious group. Two families colliding. Alice in the middle, keeping it all, holding it all together. This is quite a story right here of a lovely family where you've got Marvin Harrison in London and three other brothers of their own, or two other brothers of their own. Kyle Pitts and McBride and the others. And Benson and Bijan bringing it home. Penix Jr. and Kyler, the future. Alice holding it together. Dusting. Serving. Absolutely being there for the others. The old man. What a glorious crew. The Smitty Bunch. I tell you.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.